One of the nice features in Vegas is that you don't need to put your video on the timeline in order to apply an effect to it. In fact, there are advantages to pre-applying an effect to a media clip before you add it to your timeline. Once you apply stabilization to a shaky video clip, for instance, that video clip will have stabilization applied to it whenever and wherever you use it in your project. It's pre-applied. It's become a part of the video file. So now instead of having a shaky clip, you now will have a stabilized clip to use in your video project anytime you want to use it. And you can do this with stabilization. You can pre-apply virtually any video effect to a clip. But let me demonstrate with stabilization here. We've got a video called Shaky Drive, and I'm going to open it up in our trimmer so you can have a look at what Shaky Drive looks like. This is video shot out the front of a car, and as you can see, it is just a little wobbly, as video shot out the front of a car tends to be. And so what we want to do is take some of the shake out of that. And we'd like to do it to the original clip, where we want to apply it to the clip that's in our project media panel so that anytime we use this clip or any portion of this clip, it will be pre-stabilized. So to do that, I'm going to right-click on the clip in our project media panel and select Media Effects. And when I do, I have the option panel here for applying the stabilization effect. And I generally use the presets, and I generally use medium stabilization. This doesn't have a lot of wobble to it. I recommend that you use as little stabilization as possible. The reason why is because this is how stabilization works. It looks for a horizon line. The program looks for a center point in your video, and then it adds panning and cropping movements to your video to try to compensate for it, to keep that center point in the center of your video. It will look great, but the only problem is because of all that movement, a lot of times the edge of your video frame will show. So in order to get rid of that, the program then has to crop off some of the edge and zoom in on your video. The more it zooms in other words, the more stabilization that you've applied, the worse your video is going to look. Medium stabilization, usually it just cleans it up nicely and your result looks terrific. So I'm going to start with medium stabilization in this particular case. And once I've selected, I'll click the Apply button. And then I'll close this screen. Now, I'm not going to be able to see the stabilization in the trimmer, so I can't really see it on the original clip. But if I drag it to the timeline like this, I should be able to play it on the timeline. And even though I have not added the effect to the event or to the clip that's on the timeline, I have pre-added it to the clip prior to adding it to the timeline. Let's see the result. We'll press the play button. Now that is a smooth picture. Look how smooth that is. Let's take a look at where we came from. Go over to the trimmer window. Here's where we started. A lot of jiggling, a lot of movement. Here's where we ended up, looking at the preview window. Very nice and smooth. That's exactly what stabilization is supposed to do. Now, like I say, the cool thing is it's added now to the clip in the media panel. So anytime I use this clip, no matter how many times I drag it to the timeline, even if I just use a portion of it, it will always have that stabilization pre-applied to it. Now this comes in handy no matter what effect you're pre-applying. You may want to color correct a video clip before you add it to your timeline. You may want to add an effect to a clip to give a certain mood to a whole series of clips. You can pre-add them in the project media panel, and then anytime you use the clip and drag it down to your timeline, when it becomes an event, it will have those effects pre-applied to it. This works with virtually any video clip in virtually any video effect. If you got a video clip you need to correct before using it in your movie project because it's too dark or the color settings are wrong or it's too shaky, pre-applying an effect to correct it can turn it into a usable clip that you don't have to worry about cleaning up every time you use on your timeline. It will just be there, cleaned up, and ready to use.